Hey everyone, so today we're going to dive into something really interesting. What happens when a fantastic idea gets so popular it almost destroys itself? Yeah, it's a wild story, a real case study about turning a total breaking point into a massive breakthrough, all thanks to a pretty epic rescue mission.
So let me ask you this, especially if you've ever tried to build something from scratch. What do you do when the very thing you're dreaming of, I'm talking explosive growth, suddenly turns into your worst nightmare? When your platform just can't keep up? Well, we're about to see exactly how one company dealt with that very problem.
All right, so our story kicks off with a platform that honestly had a brilliant idea. It was one of those things that was just perfectly timed, hitting a market that was absolutely starving for new, cool experiences. And that platform was called Whywe. The concept, so simple but so good. It was basically a one-stop shop where you could find and grab awesome deals on everything from fancy dinners to relaxing spa days. It was the perfect idea at the perfect time. And you guessed it, people started flocking to it.
But here's where the trouble starts. As more and more people piled on, all that pressure started to show some major cracks in the system's foundation. Suddenly, their huge success was starting to look, well, a lot like failure.
And these weren't just small glitches, They were creating this nasty, vicious cycle. You had performance bottlenecks, which made everything super slow and frustrating. Then there were payment issues, so even if you wanted to buy something, you couldn't do it easily. And the worst part? Imagine you finally buy a coupon and it doesn't even work. That's when you hit the big one, the most dangerous problem of all. You start losing people's trust.
And this is the crazy part, right? It's the ultimate paradox. The very thing they wanted more than anything, more users, more sales, more growth, was the exact thing that was pushing their system to the breaking point. It was threatening to tear the whole thing down.
So at this point, Whywe knew they were in trouble. They realized a quick patch wasn't going to cut it. They needed a real partner, someone who could help them not just fix things, but completely rebuild and scale their platform for the future. And that's where a company called IT Idle Technologies comes into the story.
Now, IT Idle didn't just show up and start plugging holes. No way. They came in with a really smart four-pronged attack. First, they focused on the mobile app, the part users actually see and touch. Then they dove deep into the back end, the engine running everything. And after that, they tackled the two biggest showstoppers, getting a secure payment system in place and totally rebuilding that broken coupon module. This wasn't just a bandage. This was like a full-on surgical operation.
Okay, so what did all this actually look like for the user? Well, the main goal was simple. Take an experience that was full of friction and headaches and turn it into something totally smooth.
I mean, just look at this before and after. It really tells the whole story. Before, you had no easy way to pay, which created all this friction and led to people just giving up on their purchases. But afterwards, a totally transformed system with a secure, built-in payment gateway that made buying a deal a breeze. And the key thing here is that this one change immediately started boosting their sales.
All right, next up was that nightmare of a coupon system. And you got to understand, this wasn't just annoying for users, it was a huge problem for their business partners too. So by fixing all the bugs and strengthening the validation logic, they created a system that was finally reliable for everyone. This was huge for rebuilding trust, not just with customers, but with the restaurants and spas they were working with.
And of course, they had to fix the engine under the hood. We're talking about the back-end APIs. Think of them as the messengers running back and forth to get all the information you see on the screen. Well, those were totally re-engineered. And the result? Way faster data processing and much quicker page load times. The whole app just felt zippy and responsive even when tons of people were using it.
Okay, so the tech is fixed. The platform is running smoothly. That's great. But so what? What did all this actually mean for the business? Let's talk about the real-world impact of all this work.
So, after all that hard work, what was the payoff?
The results were pretty much immediate, and they were huge. The user experience was way better, so of course engagement shot up. Payments and coupons actually worked, making transactions totally seamless. And maybe the most important thing of all, Whywe finally had a platform that wasn't just surviving, it was built to scale.
But you can look at all the charts and data you want. For me, this quote from the team says it all. Forgetting the tech for a second, the biggest win was this: that user trust, which was hanging on by a thread, was completely restored. That's everything.
And the positive effects just kept rippling out. This was so much more than a tech fix. Because the platform was reliable, Whywe could build much stronger relationships with their vendors. Their own team could manage campaigns without everything breaking. And finally, the leadership could actually go out and chase new growth,
because for the first time, they knew their technology could actually handle it.
So this whole story leaves us with a really important question, one that anyone building a digital business needs to ask themselves. Is your platform just built to function? To just get by? Or is it built to perform, to really deliver when the pressure's on, when you're scaling up, and when your users are counting on you most? It's definitely something to think about.